This is the video of teaching tips for trumpet. Just like all the other instruments, kids are going to walk in, you're going to give them their trumpet if they have rented one from the shop. Some kids are going to bring one in on their own. Hopefully you've seen those instruments already and had a chance to look at them. I would play each one of them, have a trumpet mouthpiece of your own ready so that you can play them whenever they bring it in. Just make sure everything works. Make sure the valves are working. Make sure that the water key has a good seal on it. Those are the main things to look for. And you also want to check out their mouthpiece, make sure they have a good one. You're going to record serial numbers for anybody that brings in a trumpet of their own, and then we're going to get started. So, just like all the other instruments, we're going to make sure that we know which end's up. This one has a label on the top side, but it doesn't have a label on the bottom side. It also has a tag right here, and the tag, the letters are right side up whenever they have it right side up. If they don't have the label or the tag, then you have to resort to the latches here, opening from the top side, or you could finally say that on all the cases, the top side is thinner than the bottom side, so it's the skinny side up here. So I always have people open up cases on the floor. I put it on my desk, and not much assembly required here. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get out the mouthpiece, and I use a 7C. We're going to learn the buzz. I have tried out everybody on the trumpet ahead of time, so I know that they can make a buzz, and I know they can make a low C and a high G on the instrument before I put them on the trumpet. So I know that these kids coming into my class are able to get both of those. But we're going to review it. It's been a while since their recruitment. So I have them say and make sure that they're tight on the corners, loose here in the middle, and they're going to blow really hard right out of the middle of their lips, make that noise. They're going to take this, put it right in the middle of their lips, do the same thing. Also want to point out to the kids that they need to make sure that they have their teeth at least that far apart. Don't forget about that point, because if they have their teeth together, their air is just hitting the back of their teeth and not going through the instrument. You'll get a really airy sound. So you want a nice wide open sound with the teeth apart. When you tell the kids to put their teeth apart, a lot of them are going to go like that with their mouth. So you got to remind them to say keep the lips together. It's the air that causes the lips to vibrate. You don't have to separate those lips. You got to keep them together. So once they have the buzz, we're going to put it together, and we're going to talk about where our hands go. Some of the kids are going to have this ring, some of them are not. For the ones that do, we're going to go ahead and get everything adjusted for them. But I show them that their thumb goes through here, and I always put this finger through there and wrap these two around. The important part is here what we're going to do with our right hand. A lot of the kids will argue with me on this point, and I just tell them they're going to have to go with it. Two things here, your thumb and your pinky. And you can even point it out in the front of the book, because the front of the book tells them this. We've got these two valves right here. The thumb is going to go between the first and second valve, and you're going to put it just like that. And we want to make sure that the pinky actually goes on top of the pinky ring. They're going to ask why, and you want to make sure you have an answer for them. And the answer is, at some point while you're playing, you're going to need to change pages of your music. Or even for me, when I'm directing the band and I have one hand that I'm using and I'm playing trumpet with the other hand, then at those points you're going to have to take your pinky, turn your page, and put your pinky back on top. Okay? So thumb between the two valves, pinky up here, and then you want to keep the fingers curled, kind of like you're holding a softball. Don't put them flat. If you put them flat, I guarantee you what's going to happen. I've seen it 1,000 times. Through the course of the year, their valves are going to start sticking, even if they're oiling them, because they're pressing them down, and this one's doing that a little bit. This is one of the student ones. They're pressing down at an angle, and it's driving that valve down every time you push it at an angle, and eventually it's going to mess it up to the point where it's dragging like that. Okay, I need to send this one to the shop. So, straight up and down. Alright, we're also going to talk about posture. Like we're standing from the waist up, our back is never on the chair, and that helps us to get lots of air into our lungs. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about playing the lowest note you can with no fingers. I also point out what the finger numbers are. We have finger 1, 2, and 3. Some of the trumpets will even have that etched on the valves. This one does. Yeah, it's 1 and 3 there. 1 is closest to the mouthpiece. 3 is farthest from the mouthpiece. So we're pushing down no buttons, we're making the lowest note that we can, which is the low C below the staff. You can tell the kids that's low C. Now they're going to play it, some of them are going to sound like this, and you're going to tell them that's too high, you need to go lower, and I explain to them on the brass instruments, if you see me doing this, that means loosen up your lips, see if you can get a lower note, and if you see me doing that, that means that you need to tighten up your lips. And I explain that to them because if you don't, and you do this to them, they start going like that. So that means tighten up, get a higher pitch. All right, so we relax, maybe don't quite blow as hard, get that low note. Once everybody's doing that really well, now I'm going to tell them to tighten up the corners a little bit more, and blow a little bit faster. And they're going to get the high G, I call it. Now, we all know that that's not really technically high G, but to the kids that is high G. It's as high as they can play. So we have low C, high G. And we're going to then, once we can do those, practice going back and forth between the two of them. And I demonstrate this to them. They're not going to be able to do it, but to give them an idea. And you can even explain to them that whenever you do the lower note, you're thinking more of a toe or a ta, and then on the higher note, T, ta, T, ta, T. The T kind of tightens up the corners a little bit, changes the shape of the mouth a tad to where it's easier to get that higher note. And as an assignment, the kids need to go home and they need to practice going back and forth between the two of those. I'm going to then teach them by rote the names of the notes, the 5 of them: C, D, we're going to play E, then F, and we're going to play G. Some groups it's easiest to start from the G and go down, some groups it's easiest to start from the C and go up. Just depends on the tendencies of your players, because some of them are going to be more natural playing the G and some of them are going to be more naturally playing the C. So you might jump back and forth even between the two of them. And for the kids who are playing high notes naturally, work them down, and for the kids who are playing low notes naturally, work them up. Okay. After that, I'm going to show them the fingering chart. And I'm going to show them the flashcards so that they can now go home after this first lesson and somebody can drill them on the different notes. So hopefully when they come back to lesson 2, I'll be able to say, play a D. And they'll go ahead and they'll play a D for me. That's the assignment for today. All right, lesson 2, I'm going to jump into tonguing right away. I've tried this both ways. I've tried waiting a month before doing the tonguing, and I've tried doing the tonguing right at the beginning. And I have found for me that tonguing right at the beginning is the easiest for the kids, and they don't complain about it as much because they find out that that is the way to make different notes if we're going to play more than one in a row. So I never ever have them go, which is what they will do on their own if you don't tell them otherwise. So they've tongued the recorder in elementary school, and this is the same idea. Only their tongue isn't touching anything. It's going to be like they're saying ta, 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 ta. And I tell the kids, feel your tongue, the tip of your tongue, touching the roof of your mouth. Whenever they do that. And I demonstrate it to them like that. And then have them practice it on their own. They're not all going to get it right at first. Some of them it's going to take them a few days, but do have them practice on it. And for those that are getting it, we try going, and we go. The kids don't realize it, but we're actually teaching them how to play number 2 in the book. So they're going to be able to do it before they see it. So I always like kids to be able to do something before they see what it looks like. Because then all they're doing is they're seeing what they already know how to do looks like, and it makes life a lot easier for them. All right. So we've tongued each one of the 5 notes. I'm going to finally show them the staff, and I'm going to show them the different notes on the staff, which is a review from what they had in elementary school. And we're going to start in the essential elements book and play the odd numbers. You might want to start from 9 and go backwards. You might want to start from 1 and go forwards. That varies depending on the kids that you have. So make that decision and then do that. And I'm going to show them how to do flashcard set 2. Now that they know what notes look like, and they can go home and they can practice figuring out what the letter name of the note is on the staff and playing that. And they're going to do that for me when they come back to the next lesson. All right, next lesson. I'm going to show them how the speed drill goes, the 5-note speed drill. And we're going to start in the Essential Elements book after reviewing everything, and we're going to just go as far ahead as we can. I would like to get to 4. That's going to be no problem. If you get to 4, keep going farther. And that gets us to lesson 4. I teach oiling in lesson 4. I don't teach oiling in lesson 5, because if you teach oiling in lesson 5, the kids are going to go home and their valves are going to be backwards, and then they're not going to be able to play their trumpet the entire summer because they're not going to have a clue what to do. So I teach it to them in lesson 4, so that when they go home and do it after lesson 4, and they come back on the 5th lesson, and they say, my trumpet doesn't make any noise, you can show them why, and then they'll know how to fix that when they go home over the summer, and they're not going to spend the whole summer without playing. Another thing I tell them is during camp, they need to play at minimum at least 10 minutes. And even if they're just playing on the mouthpiece, and they can do that while they're in the car, if their parents will let them, just whenever. But make sure they're playing as much as possible just to keep the lips strong. Otherwise, if they go without practicing, they're going to struggle going back and forth between the G and C, and you want them to be able to do that. Once summer comes around, you want them playing at least every other day, and stress this to the parents as well to keep the lips strong. All right, so oiling. Of course, we teach them how to take these out one at a time. Be super careful with the valve. Whenever you take it out, you don't want to bang this up against the music stand. I don't like it if the kids put it on the music stand because it's going to fall off. It's going to make the stand all messy. So I have to set the trumpet off to the side, and if you don't explain this well, the kids are going to do it wrong. They're either going to try putting the oil in this hole right here, or they're going to try not taking the valve out and just pouring it down inside the valve. I've seen all kinds of things. I even had a kid once who saw how a horn player did it, so they took the slide off and poured it down the tubing right there. You'll have kids who try to put it inside these holes right here. I've had kids who have tried to put it up here with the spring. You have to explain to them that it's this part, this silver part right here, just the bottom half, that is actually touching on the inside of that tubing, and that's what we want to oil. So I have them turn it upside down like this. Some of the kids are going to try squirting it like that. They're going to get it all over themselves. Hold it upside down and make sure it's not going to drip all over your shoe when you do that. And I just put a little bit on a few sides there like that. And that's all you got to do. And then here's the important part. You have to explain to them that they need to find the number up here. This one says 3 on it, and the number is going to go towards the mouthpiece. So they put it in with the number towards the mouthpiece. They're going to screw it in. This is what the kids always forget to do. You have to turn it clockwise until it clicks into place. The kids will forget to do that, and then they won't be able to play their instrument. Just in case you don't know, what's going to happen is these kids, right after oiling it, or when they come to lesson 5, they're not going to be pushing the buttons down, but it's going to sound like this. Or it'll sound like this. And they'll say, my instrument isn't playing. You say, well, you have your valves in backwards, and then go through and show them what they need to do in order to fix that, and then they'll be able to fix it on their own. All right, so that's what we do on lesson 4, and we have our note competition. Then we read through essential elements from number 1, hopefully up to number 10 and farther if we can. Whenever they come in for lesson 5, make sure that everybody's instruments put together correctly, and you're going to start again at the beginning of essential elements, and you're going to go as far as you can. You're probably going to get into the half notes and teach how to do half notes and half rests. And then it's time for summer. Just remind them to keep on playing over the summer and get as far ahead as they can.